Hey everyone, I want to learn how to make a bivariate choropleth map in Flourish, and I'm going to show you how to do it today. It's actually not that hard. There's a lot of data prep you need to do, and then there's kind of what I think is a good trick to get the legend all set up. So I looked for a lot of different bivariate choropleth maps. I wanted something relatively simple. I found this one on Wikipedia. Seems like a good start. I'm going to zoom in here. And so what this graph is the percentage in each county in the United States, the percentage of the county that is Black or African American, and the percent of the county that is Hispanic or Latino. So you can see the legend right down here. And then in the graphic itself, you can see that the redder counties are the counties that have a higher proportion of Hispanic Latino residents, and then the bluer counties are those with a higher Black or African American share of residents. So this is what I want to make. I was able to get the data from the Census Bureau, and I'm going to show you all the steps in just a second. And this is the map that I created in Flourish. I'll close all these. We're going to make this from scratch in just a moment, but as you can see, this is fully interactive. You can go in and hover over the counties. I'll pick over here in Arizona. You see I've got the name of the county. I've got the percentage of both my metrics, and then I've got my legend down here. Now, the legend isn't in the perfect spot. Let me go back. Notice that in the Wikipedia version, the legend is right over here. I wanted to include Alaska and Hawaii in my graph, so I can't put it there. So where can I put it? Go back over here and find out. So where can I put the legend? I mean, I think ideally I probably put it here in the Gulf of Mexico maybe, or maybe up here in the top right. But there's not like a floating container situation the way there is in Tableau. It's not PowerPoint or Figma or Design Tool where I can place it wherever I want. I sort of have to place it in some specific positions, but I'll show you some alternatives as we move it around. But before we get into all of this, I want to show you how to create this map. So here's the data. The data more or less come in this way. I've got the state FIPS code, the county FIPS code, and then I create just the county code and then the county FIPS code, which I create. So these FIPS codes are numbered codes for each state, each county. So that's going to identify each county, and that's how I can actually tell Flourish or any tool that I'm going to add data to that observation. So that's the first step. So I've got the state name, the county name, and then here are the data values. I've got the percent of Black African American residents, percent of Hispanic Latino residents. So all I need to do, and I want to scroll over here just a little bit, is essentially all the way over here you can see I've got my legend. So what I need to do is just put the percentages into the 16 buckets that I need to make this map. So I'll show you how I did this. It's not very difficult. I actually did it in R, but I want to show you how to do it in Excel in case you're not an R or a coding person. This is not particularly difficult. So I'm going to use the cutoffs in the Wikipedia map. So the Wikipedia map is 0%, 5%, 20%, 50%. So what I'm going to say is, here's the setup. And I'm just going to assign a number to each of those four categories. 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a simple VLOOKUP. So here's my VLOOKUP all the way up here in the top left. All it's going to say is look up this number, 21.4. In this table, look in column 1, pull out the number in column 2, and I'm going to use an approximate match. That's the key here for the VLOOKUP. If you've never used the VLOOKUP in Excel, go check out some of the other videos in my Excel playlist. But all you're going to do here is use a VLOOKUP, and this is going to assign essentially the numbers in each of these ranges. I'm going to do the same thing for the Hispanic category here. Same cutoffs, same numbers. I just need a counter. Now what I need to do is define each of the cells in the table, right? So what I'm going to do here is just label each of these cells. And this might actually be backwards, but ignore that for now. It's okay. So what I need is for this cell. Yeah, this is backwards. So we're going to fix this. 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what I want is this cell is 0, 0. This cell here is 0, 1. And if you're wondering how I did this, I used on the Mac the digital color meter to copy the color. I dropped it in here, And then I have written a little script on my Excel that adds the color code. I'll show you what I mean by that real quickly. I just say no fill here, and don't make that mistake. Select these, and then I have a little macro that just runs, and it colors them by the hex code. So I kind of have that kind of fun. That was a fun little project. Okay, with all that said, what I need to do is just define these 16 little cells. And I'm going to do that with a letter. And it doesn't have to be a letter. I just found it easier, so I've got all these numbers floating around just to have them assigned by letter. So what I did was, going back over to my data, I said, okay, let's just define each quadrant. So I just use a little concatenation function. So I just said the value in column H and little hyphen and the value in column I. And so I get here 2, 0, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 0, 2, 0. There are a million ways to do this, right? A long if statement could work. You can do, you can turn column I into a decimal and do it that way. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to work the same. And then the last way I did this was to use another VLOOKUP. I want to look up this character. This is now a string, this 2-0 over here, and find the letter in the neighboring cell. So I go down here, and this is letter I. That works great. And 1-1 should be letter F, and that is right. There's the VLOOKUP right there, and 1-1 should be right here. Great, perfect. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use those cells as my definition to create the map. So let's grab all of the data. So there are 3,100 observations here. And we'll go all the way back up just so we have it, because we're going to need a couple things here in a minute. And let's go over to Flourish. So this is the default county level choropleth map in Flourish. And as you can see, it adds both the dots, the points, and the choropleth piece. So let's go to the data. I'm just going to clear all this out, and I'm going to paste in my data, and we'll let Flourish figure out what I've got. Okay. So first things first, we got to figure out what the match is. We're just worried about regions. We're not going to use points here. So what the regions is, I've already created my county FIPS code. So that's going to be what I'm going to use to match on. So that's already figured that out. What I want to color here is letter column K, the bivariate. Let's pick that out. That's great. I want to add some information to the pop-ups. So I'm going to want to have the state name, the county name, each of the percentages. So that's column F and G. So I just put these in with just comma, comma, comma. And there I go. They'll be colored in there. And then group. I want to add the outline for each of the states, because that's what happened in Wikipedia version. It's not necessary, but let's just try to mock it up. So I've got the state name there. So let's group it by column D. And let's go over to our map and see what we got. Okay, we got a lot going on. First things first, the first thing I do when I have this map, if I'm not using the points layer, I'm just going to disable that, just make that a lot easier. Okay, so as you can see, I have 16 categories. And so what Flourish is doing is, because these are strings, these are characters, it's just going to give one color for each letter, which is fine. That's totally fine. I just need to assign that. So how am I going to do that? Let's go back to the data. You can see I have one more concatenation here. It's going to be letter A and a colon and the hex code, because that is going to be the way Flourish is going to let us assign the colors to the map. So I copy that. I'm going to go right into regions, and I'm just going to paste that column in. And here are my colors. Look at that. I've got the Bivariate Choropleth map. That's it. It's done. Now it's just a matter of some tweaking. So I want to do a few tweaks here to just kind of finish this up. So first thing that we can do is, let's see. So there's a bunch of things that we can do here. First thing we're going to do is change the outlines. I think this is the outlines I want to change for, there we go. So that's too much. So I'm going to turn that off. No, I'm going to turn that on and put it back to white. Because what I want to do is just add the black color for the groups. And so the groups I need to do separately. So I didn't like the way that looked. Now, I'm not sure I remember where the groups are. So I'm just going to scroll down here. Let's turn this off. Look at that, region groups layer. Perfect. Let's give this a color. Let's give it a color black. I ran into this earlier that it didn't really show up right away, and I want the precision here. So I'm just going to refresh. I don't know, this sometimes happens when you're using a tool that's based online, is that it doesn't always pick up the change right away. So you can see that's still not working, and it may be because this opacity is off, but the color's really not being picked up. There we go. I picked a red, and now to black. There I go. Okay, I got it. So I don't know, I guess, maybe I just need to play around a little bit. It just doesn't pick up the black right away. And I'll move that width down a little bit. That's probably fine right there. Okay, so we're getting very close here. Let's turn the legend off. So we're not actually going to use a legend here. So I'm going to scroll down to here, and I'm going to say turn off the region, the color legend. I don't want that. Let's add a header here. Now, let's put in a title. So the title I'm going to use is going to be kind of fun. So I'm just going to copy. I have it written over here off the side, so you can't really see it. But I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, title. So let's just push this in and you can see it first. So this is a very descriptive title, not a really active title. So, okay. Bivariate Choropleth map of the Black and Hispanic populations in the United States. Now, I also said bluer and redder, which gives a little bit of directionality. And I made those colored based on the two end points of the legend. And you can see over here that it's just a little HTML code. Now, I'm not a great HTML coder, so there's a lot of Flourish help documents. You can just search for HTML help. All you need to do is add color to the text. And so all that is a little bit of a span code here that says span style, set the color, put whatever text you want in that color, and then close it up, and then you're set to go. So I'll put a link to the Flourish help guide that helped me do that, but not particularly difficult. Terrific. We're getting there. Let's go change our pop-ups. I don't like this. This is just everything. So I'm going to change that. So let's go to our pop-ups, and we're going to customize all of this. In the header area, we're going to put the county name, comma, space, state name, and I'll come out of that. And I'm going to customize this over here. I really like this feature where I can put the name in the block. So that looks good. Polk County, Florida. Great. Let's do the main content down here. So here we want to have all the values. So we're going to use, we're going to say percent black residents, colon, and then the variable name, and then a carriage return, and then percent Hispanic residents, and then we'll put in that value, and we should have this correct. There we go. We can actually also add, since there aren't percentage signs in the data, I'm just going to add them right here. I just add that as a character, and it's just going to put it right on there. So you can see I've got a nice pop-up. That's looking great. That's done. All right. Let's get to the footer. So we're going to need to change some of the text down here. This is what's in the default. So I've got my own that I want to use. So I want to use the Census Bureau, and I have a separate Word doc that you can't see that I'm just grabbing my my labels here. And I also want to link to the Wikipedia page, just as, just the folks know that that's the original. I don't like that order. I'm going to switch the order here. I think I like the census first, so let's put that up here. And just cutting and pasting, and I got it. Okay, I also want this source to be bold, so I'm going to make a little bold tag here, and I'll close that up, and that's bold as well. So we really got some good stuff going on here. The last piece is the legend. So especially for any real map, any choropleth map really, but especially a bivariate choropleth map, we're going to need a legend. I'm going to go all the way back. This is the legend in the original image. Now, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be tilted. Kind of like the way they did it. So I'm actually going to use that approach. I'm going to tilt it. Now, I started making this in Excel, and it was just kind of difficult to get all the cells right and yada, yada, yada. So instead, I just made that little table in Excel and I pasted it into PowerPoint, and then I tilted it. So you can't rotate a table in PowerPoint, a real table, but you can rotate a picture. So I pasted it in as a picture, and then I just added these little text boxes right here. So some manual work to get it right, but this is, you know, it's fine. It's good. I could have used other tools like Canva or Figma or Illustrator or something like that, but for this, like, it was fine. So now what I do with this, export it as a PNG image. I'm going to export it as an image file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it in to Flourish as a logo. So I have already brought this image in. So I'm just going to enable it on the footer. I want to copy that in, paste that in. It's obviously a little too small. I see it right down there. And I'm going to blow this up to, say, 10. Let's just see. Maybe even a little bit bigger. I think I had 14. So that might even be a little big. Let's put 12. Okay, 12. Let's put in the middle, 13. Okay, so this looks fine. Again, I don't love it. It's not 100% great. Obviously, I could just download the image and pop it into PowerPoint and place the map, the legend where I want it. But if I do want to have this as interactive, I'm going to need to have it in Flourish. Now, I could drop it into Canva. That is a way to do it. Remember, Canva owns Flourish, so I could drop this map into Canva and add the legend in there on top of it. But if I want to live just in Flourish so I can really get an embed code really easily, then I have to figure out what to do here. So this is where we could stop. And I just want to show you how you can sort of play around here. So you can align the logo and the source note here in the very bottom. So the vertical alignment, you can change that. I like the top here. You can also change where they're going to be. I kind of think I like the right. You can change the margin, and you can also add a little line here, which I'm not going to do because I don't want that separated. I did try, just to show you, putting it in. Oh, and then the last thing is you can change the alignment here. So you could do that as a left. That's fine. I don't think that changes much of the issue. You can center all of it, you can right align it, or you can sort of full justify it, and that sort of pulls it all the way out. There's not much else in here to do. So, you know, so you can sort of play with these alignments. I ended up with full justification. Now, I did want to show you the header, because you could do the same thing if you wanted to put it at top. So I can paste in that same logo. Now you can see it's at the right. I'm going to make it 13, so it's the same size as this guy at the bottom. I can position it to the right. That's a little better. But there's all this empty space here. So I did think about, you can align it with the container. That doesn't really work. I did think about maybe trying this, going back into my title box and adding a carriage return, which I think is BR. Yeah, that's going to move it down a little bit. So I thought this might be okay, but there's still a lot of space here, so I don't totally love it. So, but this is kind of an aesthetic decision. I'd be curious what you think is the best way, so I'm going to turn that off. I think I like it down at the bottom here. I think it might be still a little too big, so I'll just bring it down to like a 12. And just type it in there. There we go. And you can see that maybe even I do like the centering. I think I do like the centering. So you can see I put it at the bottom. It's not perfect. It's not exactly where I'd like it, but I think the trade-off of just being able to paste in my data and drop in this image as a logo is worth that trade-off, right? I don't have to code this up. I don't have to work in JavaScript. I don't have to work in an Illustrator file. I've got a fully interactive graphic with a legend down here. Yeah, I mean, are there advantages to doing this in a tool like D3 where I could make the legend interactive so you could click? Sure. There are lots of things that you could do, but again, there's a trade-off there. And the last thing I'd say is that this adds a little search bar. So I can go look for Fairfax County, maybe. I haven't really tried this search. Maybe this search isn't really working. So I have to play with the search bar. So I'm not quite done. I have to go in and try that search. That's probably the name field, and that's probably why that's not working. So let's just do that. Change this here and go back, and let's try again. There we go. So you got to set it up, and that is Fairfax County in Virginia. So key thing here with building this kind of map in Flourish. A, you need to set up your data. Not too hard. Figure out what your bins are going to be and just name the bins. B, make sure you just set up your color palette. Really kind of not difficult to do if you've been working in Flourish. And C, the last part is when you want to make this, I'd say, different, more advanced style of legend. Create it somewhere else as an image, and then bring it in as a logo, and then blow it up and put it wherever, and put it, kind of where you want it to go. Almost wherever you want to go, but within the confines of the tool. So I hope this was helpful. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, learn all about Flourish, Excel, other data visualization tools, data communication techniques. And so until next time, this is the Policy Viz YouTube channel. Thanks so much for checking it out.